Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have you join us today as we go through our story and our healing we call survival. This is episode 5, and the topic for today is Know Your Worth. Today, we will be sinking into what it means to know who you are, the story that brought you to where you are, and what that means for everything you're building and creating as you move forward. I want to make sure that we let each of you know that this is a content warning, that everything that is being shared on screen and in stories today may bring up topics of knowing your own worth, which can sometimes be scary, possibly domestic violence or sexual assault or abuse. And we want to make sure that as each of you listen, that you are aware that those are contents that we will be discussing. And if they are things that you cannot hold in your body right now, we invite you to pause, to turn this off, to switch to something else, to really take your time and listen to your body and know what you have capacity for in this moment. We are going to go ahead and dive in. And I will take a second and just welcome all of our guests, welcome all of our viewers. Thank you for showing up and being here. And here is the invitation for each of our guests to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Dolores Collins, aka Miss D. I'm the Executive Director of A Vision of Change, and I'm also a certified community health worker. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tracy MacArthur. I'm the founder and co-owner of PQRST Center for EKG Training. I'm also a certified community health worker. Thank you for having me.
Hi, I am Willetta McGowan, and I am owner and operator of Find the Miracle Within, also founder of Reflections of Me. And I deal with trauma, and I thank you for having me.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Karen Florence Davis, and I am a certified community health worker and a part of A Vision of Change.
Thank you, each of you. So excited to have you. And I am the host and the moderator for today, as well as Miss D. My name is Bianca Edwards, and I am with Sacred Apothecary. I am a somatic coach and walk with people through coaching and guiding and consulting. We'll dive in.
So, our first question for this morning is, what is self-worth? And Karen, does anybody would like to answer that question? What is self-worth? What does that
Self-worth.
mean to you?
Well, to me, self-worth is the belief that you are valuable, that you matter. No matter what you have or have not accomplished, that you matter. That's what self-worth means to me.
What self-worth means to me is knowing your value from the perspective of who God made you to be, knowing who you are and whose you belong to, and knowing that you have a purpose and you was put here for a purpose.
Self-worth means to me knowing my value, learning who I am, learning who God had created me to be, and moving forward and knowing who I am today.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And what kind of questions do you ask yourself when you're checking in with yourself about your self-worth? What are some of the things you ask yourself?
Hi, it's me again. I ask myself, the questions that I ask myself is, will I marry me? Am I worthy to marry me? Because if I can't marry me, who else will? And I take a deep dive also in my mental health. I ask questions about my mental health, where I am, and gauge where I am to determine if I will marry me. So those are the steps that I go through. I ask myself the question first, then I gauge it, and then I determine where I am in that process and the things that I got to work on to get to the point that I will marry me.
Myself, I look at where I am. Have I let anyone devalue me or disrespect me? I look at things like how I felt when I got up, in the morning time, I try to do a check-in with myself to see where I am, because I know that day to day we can have different looks at ourselves.
Mhm.
And so every day I want to be valuing myself. So I take a look and do a self check-in.
Thank you. Thank you, Willetta.
Curious, what about for you, Misty? What are the questions you ask yourself?
Well, something that I do is I check in to see how I'm feeling in my body. As we know, we can hold stress in different areas of our body. And over the years, I was a person that was introvert. So I held everything in on the inside. Why? Because being the third oldest, I often felt like I was overheard, was not heard. I felt that when I did try to say something, those things weren't of value. So I began to silence myself because I didn't think my opinion mattered anymore. And I began to just hold all those different feelings inside as far as how I was treated, how other people may have treated me, unbeknown to them that they was actually saying things or doing things that may have hurted me. And it hurt me. I held things in to the point where I actually have tortuous intestines. My intestines became like entangled. So when people say, your stomach is in knots and things like that, your body can actually react to those things. So once I learned about self, and the importance of who I am, and that my voice does matter, that's when I began to really tap in to actually know who I was and that I am somebody, right? And that I was put here with a vision, a purpose, and that I have a destiny to fulfill while I'm here on earth.
It began for me when I was so caught up in a lot of fear, a lot of shame, you know, low self-esteem. So once I started using my voice and speaking, my body language changed. The way I carried my body and the way I responded, I had a certain walk with that, whatever was going on in my life at that point in time. So I had to learn how to learn my body as well, So my worth, I take inventory today, on where am I at mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, because that's where my body and my worth came from, in learning to learn to get to know Karen. So that's how I start gauging and paying attention within, because the outside showed a whole different everything. But my inside needed to match.
I remember for myself, I didn't start paying attention to my value until my self-esteem was totally depleted. I was in a marriage where there was infidelity, and I took the infidelity personal, you know, like something was wrong with me. And it was through really getting closer to God and starting to learn who I am in His perspective, and learn that that was not my fault, that those were His issues. And it took me time to learn that. And it's funny, when you're going through it, you don't even realize how deeply you are affected, until one day you look at yourself and you see yourself as looking down. I gained a lot of weight. And once I got out of that situation, wow, it was like I became a new person. Matter of fact, some of my clients told me, "Oh, you're recovering from a husband." So it really took me just really looking at myself and knowing that I am somebody. God created me to have a purpose, and that I'm going to serve out that purpose.
Thinking and listening to you guys, what tapped into my mind is when I was 7 or 8 years old, and my uncle thought it was a joke to always say, "Well, Tracy has no neck," and he was always belittling, and he thought it was funny. And I began to internalize that, and I began to sink into myself, where I began to think that I was ugly and that I had no neck and it was something funny or cute. So once the question, "Will I marry me?" came out of those feelings of not being cute. And for him, but I was always cute, but he took that away from me, right? He took that innocent where it was a joke, and it hurt my feelings, and my grandmother would always tell me to stop. But and I internalized that and carried that throughout my life. So when I got older and I got wiser, and I was like, "Will I marry me?" And I began to look at the outside and neglect the inside. See, my worth came from me knowing that I was worth it, right? And I even look at people that come into my life, and I determine, are they worth being there? So self-worth is also putting people in your life that is worth being in your life, and that you know that's going to have your back, is going to be your friend no matter what. And those are the kind of people I surround myself around. And if somebody is not in that worth it, then they're not in my life. So just like I tell people, I choose people. And when you don't fit in my life or my purpose, or you have to go. So when that question came up, when I married myself, that came from my childhood being teased by my uncle, right? And it was just something that I had to overcome. And once I got older and I overcame it, and I believe in me, because nobody can tell me about me but me. Nobody can tell me I'm not worth it but me, right? And if I'm in your life and I'm not worth it, then you have an option to get rid of me. But for me, in choosing my friends and choosing to be in certain circles, I choose that. And not I take that part of my worth because I have a right to choose. So that's how I ask the question, and I gauge it, and I believe in me and people who are in my life. So if you're in my life, know you're worth it.
You know, Trace, I'm so glad that you said that, because right after our grounding, I had this big smile, because that is exactly what I thought about. The people that is in my life today is because they have found me worthy, and I have found them worthy to be company. And it's so awesome when you know that, when you feel that within you. Can't nobody take that away. Okay, now. Can't nobody
Take us
take
to church. Come on,
That's
Karen.
right.
Okay.
Bring it. Bring it. Bring
nobody.
it.
You know,
I'm glad you said that.
it is
It,
just so awesome, because it took for me to be in a battered women's shelter, living for 7 months with my 4 children. And when I picked up that quarter that I found, and I turned on the radio when I got to my room, and the song that was on there was "A penny for your thought, a nickel for a kiss, and a dime if I tell you that I love you." And I turned that dime into a quarter. And I knew then that day, as I stood in that mirror, I was worthy. I was worthy.
Thank you.
Woo, I done got excited now.
okay. It's, talking about this is so awesome. One of the things that I do, I keep a support person, a cheerleader in my support team, who, like, those days when I'm not feeling worthy or when I'm having a down day, I have her on speed dial, and she gives me that uplift and pep talk because some days we will have those down days, you know. So feeling worthy is not an everyday thing, but it's an everyday thing that can be accomplished.
Mhm.
Even
Absolutely.
having music, like you were saying, Karen, having songs. I try to keep me a song in my belly. Um, you know, I got Tasha Cobbs on speed dial on my phone, you know, to help me get through the day.
Mhm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I became my own best friend. I became my own cheerleader because if I don't have anybody and I'm not that's who I became to me. Can I entertain me? Can I be my best friend? Because I know I got my best interests at heart. Even if I live reckless sometimes, you have to be your own best friend to check in with that person. Like, what you doing?
Mhm.
You know, and I became my own cheerleader, right? When things go well, I cheer because a lot of times we look for outside gratification to make us feel like we're okay. You have to have that. You're great. No, if I say I'm great, no matter if you don't think it, I am. So I became my best friend. I became my own lover because I have to love me. And I know how I want to be loved, truly. And that's when I determine my worth. I know how I want to be loved. And I can show people who allow in my space how to love me. So those are the things that I take in. And I might not even show a lot of times. I may joke all day and make Miss D laugh all day. But those are the things that I think about when people are in my life. That's like my big sister. That's like somebody I met 2 years ago, almost 2 or 3 years ago. And you can't tell that we didn't know each other our whole lives because she's worth it. You know, she's worth it. She's my friend. She's everything, my cheerleader. Even when I don't cheer for myself, she's doing it. So I have to give her her roses right now because she didn't know how I felt about her because I don't say it. But you're worth it. And you're worth being in my life. And I love you.
You. Thank you so much. And you know, it's something that you all bring up the word love because I didn't know what that was, right? Being young, we think love is sex, especially once you get to, messing around with these guys and stuff or whoever, you know what I'm saying? You think that is love, but that's not what love is. I had no idea um, what love was. I could be here all day talking about some of the experiences that I've had, but one in particular um, was when I had this dream. My mom now passed away like I was about 18, 17, 18. I just had my first child. And she passed away like a year and a half later. Um, and I ended up getting married and all that, got married young and stuff like that. And like I said, not knowing what love is, you think that stuff is love, but it's not. But I had a dream one day. And in the dream, it was a dream where me and my mother was walking. And as we walked, she didn't say much, right? Um, so we just walking, and I'm feeling real good. And then all of a sudden, these different clouds began to open. And then each cloud was a memory that she had. And the memories of it was I saw myself young because I always, since I didn't say much, I said, let me show you, right? If I do things, I guess you'll recognize me since you couldn't hear my voice and my voice didn't matter, right? Or I thought it didn't, right? So the picture opened up and I saw myself. We used to clean on Sundays because we were raised Seventh-day Adventists. So we used to house clean on Sundays and we washed the baseboards and everything. And I used to, when I think I was compulsive too. Um, when I was younger, didn't know, but I used to, you know how the bottom of the pots get that burn on the pot. I used to stand at this scrub because I wanted to get all of that stuff off of there because I know Mama wanted them pots clean. So I'm gonna stand there extra long to make sure I get that stuff off. So those clouds of me doing different things around the house was appearing. So it's like, wow, she looks, say, see, baby, I saw you all along. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, oh my God. So you really was seeing. And, growing up back in the day, our parents and some of their parents, your parents, they didn't know how to express love either, right? So um we continued to walk and pictures became continued to open. And then she turned to me and she handed me this piece of paper. And on this paper were 10 symbols. They were gold symbols. And it was like, it was called some kind of rice paper or something. It is like an old Chinese ancient paper with these beautiful symbols. And she placed it in my hand. And when I turned my hand over, the symbols had engraved into my fingernails, right? Beautiful. I was like, oh my God. And when I woke up from the dream, I was actually hugging myself. That to me was self-worth, right? Like you say, Tracy, people talked about me. I had an uncle called me Bugs. I thought he was calling me Bugs because of my teeth, right? You look at Bugs Bunny, I'm like, that's all I could see was Bugs' big gold teeth. But guess what? When I got older and I really started watching Bugs Bunny was smart as a whip. So he saw something in me then that I didn't even see in myself. So for love, when we talk about love, to me, love is an action word. It's about doing the right things to and for someone you love, right? So self-worth, loving yourself. I was low self-esteem, Karen, naive, right? Bullied in school. Oh, I had so many bad experiences, but all of those experiences has brought me to be this person that I am today, right? And a lot of these lessons, y'all, I didn't learn them overnight. At the age of 40, I mean, I just really embraced who I was and who I am and really, really began to love myself. Karen, I had a husband that was um, went to prison for 6 years, and those whole 6 years, I abused myself. I took my bed away. I didn't sleep in the bed. I slept on pillows, right? It's like I was punishing myself, and I didn't even do anything wrong, right? Man, these journeys that we've been on, I'm sure it's been some tough ones, but they've made me, like I say, the person that I am today. And that's all I want.
And that's the blessing, is that we learn that we held ourselves hostage. I had to learn, I held myself hostage for so long because of what other people thought of me, what other people said about me, what other people's idea was of me. And I allowed their thoughts, opinions, ideas, vision of me to become mine. And I had no identity of myself. And then one day I was like, you know what? That's who you are. I had to throw it back on them, and that's when I started, leaving people's stuff where it was on them, because, and I was saying out loud when my friend of mine had said something, I was like, well, that's your stuff. I'm leaving with you. I had to learn how to put other people's garbage out on the curb and not take it in my own home. Mm-hmm. And when I say my home, I'm talking about my within. This is my temple. That's what so this is my temple. So I got a choice, like Tracy said. I don't have to accept it. And I always say this, I do not accept, I do not welcome nor invite chaos into my life. And that includes everybody.
Yes, you know what? No, not now, not today, not ever. A friend of mine used to tell me that.
Okay.
And
Oh my goodness.
let's see, when you were talking about bugs, and when he called you bugs, and all you saw was the you said the teeth or whatever. That's what you saw, right? You didn't think of that he saw something different in you. You saw the outer appearance, and that's what we always do. We always see the outside of something. We never take time, or a lot of us don't, until you get old enough to realize, let me look internally. You know, my wit, my smartness, I was smart. Bugs Bunny was smart because he never got caught. Right? He never got caught. So I think he never got caught. So he never got caught by Elmer Fudd, right? So he never got caught. So when people compliment or say things about us, we need to, like Karen said, I look inside, because what goes on from the inside always come outside. No matter how you try to hide it, where you try to put it, it's gonna come out. Well, my grandmother said, what happens at dark shall come to light. It will. So for me, and worthiness and of myself, again, I look at everything. I may not say something a lot of times because I want to see where it's coming from and what angle that you're coming from. I want to see if what I'm seeing is truly what you're doing, or am I looking at something different? So I invite things into my life to see where it fits. And then if it doesn't, with no disrespect, I dismiss it. And then I move on, because we all have to know when and where something goes, because self-worth is not always something we feel like all day, every day. It's ever changing, because something always happening to change the direction you may be going in. There's always maybe a little roadblock right here, and now it pulls you back. And now, am I worthy of that? Or is it meant for me? And sometimes you have to sit in it to figure it out. And not making rash or these decisions so quickly that it may not be for you, but that may be, and then it may not be about your worth. So for me, and having this and speaking about it, I just want everybody to know you're worthy, you're worth it. You know, no matter if someone ever told you that, if somebody didn't tell you they love you this morning, if you didn't wake up loving yourself, just know you're being loved and you're worthy of it.
Thank you.
One of the things that I look at is really finding that miracle within you. And I love what you just did, Tracy. You know, we need to uplift one another. And when we see people, you know, and run into people in the stores or, you know, wherever, if you see someone who looks like, you know, they're down, you know, let them know that they're worthy. That is so important. You know, we are here for one another. And to me, it is part of our job to help others see who they are as well.
Absolutely.
You know, Tracy, I want to thank you, because you opened up the door for me to look at it in a different light also. You know, that's what I'm talking about. When you have people in your life who can speak into your life, you know, and you just helped me to open the door to another part and another level. So I thank you. I thank you, because that's what this is about, you know, going and learning for another level. There's always a level for us to go to the next level, you know, and that's the beauty of learning who we are today, you know, and allowing the people, I don't want to say allowing, because I truly believe it was a reason and a purpose for everybody to be in my life today, for the accordance of what that purpose may be. I'm trusting in this process, you know.
And you're so welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, we go back to
we go way back. We go way back. We've been knowing each other for a long time.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. You know, I'm growing up. Yeah. That's what
good, don't it?
Yes, it does.
Feel real good.
You know? And you know, it's something, because, you know, while I was in that shelter, before I got ready to leave and I found a place for me and my children, I remember I was always one that wanted somebody to buy me some flowers. Because in my growing up, I thought if I slept with you, you mine, you slept with me, I'm yours. So that was as far as it went to get a boyfriend. I didn't know all the other stuff that came with it. So, but I'm so grateful because I started buying myself one rose a week. And by the time I left there and I moved into my home, me and my children, I bought myself a dozen of roses for about maybe 4 to 6 months because that's what I wanted. And I knew that I was worthy to have that. And that was my identity of showing me how to love me, how to know and treat myself, because I didn't know how to treat myself, but I started learning how to treat myself, and I'm grateful for that. I am so grateful for that because it taught me how to be loyal to me.
Absolutely. Wow.
Yes.
And that actually brings us to like that next question of like, how do you maintain it too? Like, what are the things that you do to take care of yourself? Because the one thing that all of you are having me sit in is that piece around like you learn it, but then you learn it again. And it's different every single time. Like you said, there's that next level. And one thing that I have learned about myself and I'm getting really curious on is like, love for me shifts. Like there are certain things that stay the same, right? But because I'm learning new parts of myself and I'm becoming more aware of the ways that I'm not loving myself, love just keeps showing up in different spaces. And like I'll ask for it and it shows up. And it shows up in a way I didn't expect it, where I'm like, oh, okay, like somebody I didn't know who has a kind word. Or even in like the little things around, like I want to drop off my daughter and there's this woman there, Miss Miranda, who gives me life every day. And Miss Miranda, every day I've been walking in and I'm like feeling like crap. She's like, okay, with the hair swoop and the clothes done. And I'm like, oh, I look, oh, okay, Miss Miranda, yes, I do. I look good today. And it's the little things. And she's just like, she's brilliant and beautiful. And it is those little things and people that you don't expect, like that moment with Tracy just now. I don't even know what Tracy said that gave you life just now, but I'm sitting here ready for it. I'm like, okay, bring it. What is happening? Because those things are not something that we expect every day until we actually ask for them and invite them in, like you all have said. So what are the things that you all do to maintain the love for yourself?
For me, I trust myself. I trust myself because we always don't trust ourselves. We can say we do. We can say we trust. You don't trust yourself all the time because you don't trust everybody all the time. So you can't trust yourself and then say you don't trust everybody else because then you're lying. So for me, I trust me. I trust me. I put myself first, and that's not selfish. That's just what I need to maintain my worth is by putting myself first. Putting yourself first, thinking of yourself first, because without good health, and as you learn as a paramedic, if I'm not safe, I can't help you. So I have to say gloves on, scene safe, right? And that's just how I live my life. Gloves on, scene safe. I trust myself and I believe in myself and I put myself first. Not being selfish, but I do. Because I didn't know how to not I used to put everything and everybody else first, right? I would take care of them first. And then my mother would always like, how come you buy everything for everybody else, but you don't buy anything for yourself? Right. And then that's when the light started coming on, like, Tracy, you do that. You take care of everybody else. You help them with everything, but you don't do for yourself. So that moment came like Lalu, the light came on, a big old bulb came on. And I was like, yeah, I got to take care of myself. And that's what you do. Just trust yourself. You have to learn to trust yourself. So that's how I do it to maintain continuously learning how to trust me in everything that I do.
I'm glad you said that, Tracy. I've learned to say no to others. And like you say, put yourself first. I had to learn to say no. You know, somebody would ask me to do something, I would be quick to be like, okay, okay. And I would put my stuff aside, you know, okay, no. Today, it's me first. And I don't have no, you know, nothing to say. I don't disrespect anybody, but I just let them know, you know, today is for me, you know. And so I still help people, but I must put me first. And that comes whether it's doing what I do, you know, as a profession, or doing what I do for my family. It's me first, and then everything else comes. And another way that I make sure that I'm caring for me is through music. Um, I always have me, like I said before, a song. And so if I'm not feeling well, you know, I have me a song to bring me out of that. If I am feeling well, I have me a song to keep me there. I also trust that I know what I'm doing, that I'm able, and that I'm smart. You know, I think sometimes in, you know, work and you see other people doing this or that, you know, people have a tendency to look at what others doing. No, I trust what I'm doing. I trust the purpose that God has for me, you know, and that He set me on and the path. And I go with that, you know, and so I don't let the voices get to me. You know, I make sure that I'm speaking that positive self-talk to myself of, you know, self-worth. And I have also scriptures that I use, you know, that God made me who I am, that He knows every hair on my head. And it's just, it's funny, you know, I had to really look at, you know, that question, you know, how do I maintain it? And those are ways that I maintain it and keep it.
Yep. You know what, Willetta? I was the same way. I didn't know how to say no. Um, being raised in Seventh-day Adventist, I thought that, you know, if you say no or do bad things to people, you gonna go to hell, right? So I just was like, I didn't know how to tell people no. So I always said yes to everything. You can keep the kids, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. I put myself and my kids too on the back burner many a times for other family members, friends, and stuff. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it because I loved on the children, was able to imprint positive things into their lives. But at sometimes not saying no and too many yeses always kind of put me in a position, and being an introvert, as I said earlier, when those situations occurred, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't know how to go to other people to even ask for help, right? For them to tell me yes or no. So I tried to deal with it on my own. But one of the things when my ex-husband first went to prison, I had to make a decision that day. I stood on the porch and watched him walk down the street. And before I turned around to go inside that house, I had to decide whether or not me and my kids were going to make it. Right. So, one thing, and I don't know how we ended up with this tape. It was a tape, then it was her book, Iyanla Vanzette's Tapping the Power Within. Was a book and a cassette that actually helped me to start a journey to healing, because that is where it started for me with that book. Tapping the Powers Within. And then one of the second books was The Science of the Mind, that a friend of mine had gave me. And it was just those things, those different prayers that was in there, the message that was in Tapping the Power Within. It was those things, the affirmations that were in there. It was those things that started my journey to healing. And as I grew to who I am now, it became different daily affirmations. Um, Also, Tai Chi, and it was Qigong, Lee Houghton. I was introduced to Qigong, and then just you get other things come as you. The more you search for self, the more positive things come your way. So it was that too. Then it was The Secret, right? Um, and then The Dream Givers. Those were four of the books that I use, and that's now in my toolkit, and that I often share with other people who may be experiencing some of the barriers or challenges that I have in the past. But it's just getting up and doing that whole check in with self care is the major maintenance that I do on a daily basis. Because as somebody said, I don't know if that was you, Tracy, if you don't take care of self, how you gonna take care of somebody else, right? So those are just some of the things or tools that's in my toolkit that I utilize on a daily basis to maintain my self-worth.
Being in the program of recovery, there's two things that come to mind. And the first thing is that I was taught, halt. Don't get too hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. So with learning that process in my life, I had to learn how to do a self-care, self-check. And the second thing that came to me is because I didn't know. I didn't know how to be healthy. I didn't know how to choose healthy. So I started asking God, okay, God, show me what I need to do to be healthy. Okay, God, I want to be healthy. Okay, God, what's the choices? What is healthy? What is healthy? Because I didn't know. So once I started doing that checklist, things started coming. People started coming into my life. The door was open to start learning how to be healthy, how to become healthy within me. And so today, that's one of my things, is that I make sure that I take care of me. Because of the profession that I am in, I have to do self-care. I have to maintain self-care. Every morning at 6:30, I'm on a morning meditation call every single morning. And that morning meditation call at 6:30 takes me all the way till the time I get to work. By the time I get to work, I am centered. I'm doing what I need to do. I start my morning off every morning with a self-care. That is for me. Also for me, I will go to the full body massage, whatever. I take care of me when it comes to going on vacation. And it does not, when I say vacation don't mean that you got to be going on an airplane. It could be just sitting in your living room, relaxing. It could be watching your favorite TV show, whatever. But I have to do that for me. I have to maintain where I am and to continue to grow and where I want to go and where I am created to be. I have to. And so I have different books. I love poetry. I go to poetry nights. I love music. I'm like Walletta. I always got a song in my spirit. Anybody will tell you I'm always singing something, you know. I can't sing, but I sure will.
So yes, you can. So
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I sure can.
what about you, Willetta or Tracy? Oh, go ahead, Tracy. I saw you come up.
I like to work out, so I do a lot of working out. I go walking. I go get in touch with nature. Um, that's what I do. I've learned about chakras, so I go in touch some dirt, some grass, some trees to try to just stay in my space. I must be on vacation a lot because I be watching my favorite programs all the time. I'm on vacation every day. So I those are things that I do, and I try to, just learn to trust me because I've done things and I sit back and think like, hey, I shouldn't have done that, because you have to trust yourself, and that's maintaining my self-worth is trusting me. I could trust a lot of people, and I say I trust you, but if I say I trust you, I trust you. That's the truth. But just work out. I work out. I go walking. I sing. Like you said, I sing. I sing all day. I have music on all day. I'm my favorite. I sing the same song 10 times. I'm in the car by myself, so I replay it as much as I want, right? As much as I want, and I sing that song, right? So that's what I do, and I try to keep those, be positive, because sometimes you do get down, and those are some things that's just life, that's just life. And I continue. I pray, I pray. I keep Allah first in my life. So those are the things that I do to maintain my worth. I try to just be great to me because I didn't know how to be great to me. I was always great to other people because I thought that's what it took. Never thinking about self-worth, self-esteem, love. Loving somebody too much is a problem because that means there's no space for you to love yourself, right? So those are the things that I do to maintain it and keep good people around because they keep you grounded in your stuff.
For me, I also read. I read The God-Shaped Brain, meditate, prayer, especially when I was going through a lot of back surgeries, which I still have problems with. And I just talked to God, and I just, asked him, okay, what is the purpose for this? And, what meaning is it? And how is this going to impact somebody else's life? So I take it and I turn whatever situation I'm going through, I turn it around to a positive, to where it can help somebody else. I know a lot of people who go through pain issues, and if I can uplift them through my testimony, that's what I'm here for. And that helps me as well.
That is such a beautiful point. A lot of the practitioners that I am learning from and doing work with often talk a lot about spirituality, and it can look different for every person, right? It does not have to look like often the way we were taught when we were young around, like, if you do something wrong, you go into hell, it's automatic. My God is very forgiving and looks very different. And God is also very aware of who I am. And one of the groups that I've done a lot of work with, the first time I really felt seen, we had been doing some work and practicing around how to say yes and no, right? And there's this practice where you hold your hand out and your arm is extended and you are walking towards someone that you have asked, that has asked you a question. and you're saying yes, no, or let's have a conversation about it. And basically, in this piece, you're actually taking their hand and redirecting them whichever way you want them to go, right? In another practice, you're saying no over and over and over again so that you can get comfortable saying it. And one of the things that I noticed about myself is the first few no's were like, no, it's okay. They were like soft and gentle. They were, no, but if you really are insistent, I'll say yes. And I used to get really frustrated with those feelings of feeling like I was violated and like my boundary was violated. And it took me a long time to realize that I was violating my own boundary. And that's where the pain was, right? That I was saying no, but because my no had been violated once before when I was younger and I felt powerless, that had embodied itself in me. It had embedded itself deep in my skin. And that this practice of saying no, like I think at the end of it, I felt like I was screaming no. And really what was coming out, so the person at the other end was like, now that's the no I need you to say when you really mean it. Like, that's the no that has to come. Your body, your eyes, the way your throat just was. She was like, you were just so clear. She was like, I don't think I've seen you more rooted in a practice than when you just said no. And my no actually learned me how to say yes with my whole body, right? It had me real clear on like, what did yes actually feel like when it was in my body, when I actually meant it. And so now I have this practice of like, if I'm sitting with somebody and they ask me like Miss D, when you said like, will you watch my kids? And I was like, yeah, I can watch the kids. And now I'm just very clear of like, how do I actually feel before I answer this question? Do I have the space, the time, the patience, the energy? Is my house in enough order that I don't care that it gets messed up? Like all these questions come up because the yes was so easy because I never learned that my no was actually sacred. And so in relearning that, like you all have just reminded me of so many beautiful things. And I'm over here like taking notes as you all are talking. But there are so many different things that we have to learn to practice because we were taught to violate ourselves. We were taught that it was okay for other people to violate us, that it was okay for us to violate our own boundaries. And we are never taught those boundaries. Like I remember as a kid, one of the things that would happen is they were like, are you an adult's conversation? And sometimes I did need to mind my own business, right? Because I would be the quiet one in the room, like, I don't know what they're saying, but I'm here for it. And there were other times where it was actually valid. But because I was a child, I was often taught like, she don't know anything, she a baby. But when you start doing spiritual work, when you start doing your own healing work, you realize, like I've realized this with my 5-year-old, she has a lot more wisdom than I think I was even ever given credit for as a child. And I have to constantly remind myself, like her wisdom actually teaches me things. There are so many gifts that come from her because I have to be quiet and listen and honor that she knows her boundaries. And kids are actually really good with boundaries when it comes to like, when you can come in their space. They're like, no, this is my toy. And we teach them to violate it. We're like, no, share. And they're like, no, but this is mine. Like this is mine. It's in my space. It's in my bubble. And there's so many gifts there that we unlearn to make other people comfortable. And so one of the things you all have reminded me is like, how do we learn the things that make us comfortable and not bend to make other people feel safe? Because that ends up compromising our own safety. And so
that's self-worth. That's self-worth. That's the putting yourself first, even no matter whose feelings may be hurt or who would take it the wrong way. Putting yourself first and understanding that this is who I am, and I'm not going to violate me to make you happy. And we also so often do it, even in relationships, friendships, family, anybody, to make them okay, because we got to make them okay. No matter how I feel after I said yes, and I be saying no, and then it come out yes, and I didn't mean yes. So from now on, I know to say, I'm not watching your kids. No, I'm not. I'll see them another day. If you want to pick another day that we can agree on a time that it'll be great for me, right? It has to be great for me to watch your kids. It can't just be on your terms. It got to be great for me too, right? It has to be okay for me to be okay with watching your children. So with that being said, I learned from my grandmother, which is the greatest woman I ever met in my life, next to my mom. But she was like the first lady that I loved, and she would always say, "You are important." So she would always know you are important, you are beautiful, you are Tracy, right? And when I came out and I told her I was gay, and I was telling her this long old story because I didn't feel I was worthy to tell her the truth. I lied for about 30 minutes, was just lying about the story, just lying, and it didn't make sense to me, and it began to not make sense to her. So I was like, look, grandma, I'm gay. She said, so? She said, I know. First, she said, I know. She said, but you Tracy, right? I said, yes.
Yeah.
She said, and that's all that matters.
It's okay.
And through that, but that's what that not feeling worthy of it, because so many people said it's bad. You're going to hell. This ain't right for you. It's immoral. Who you don't. I don't know what's gonna happen on the inside. The only person that I have to answer for is me. Right. So when she said what she said, "You Tracy, right?" She said, "Oh," she said, "I know." She said, "But you Tracy, right?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "And that's all that matters." And to everyone else that was in my life saying those things, I can't say it right now, but I'll tell y'all later. I was like, forget you.
Clean that up nice.
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
Like, forget you.
Yeah.
And I live my life.
That's it.
I don't, if you don't, it's your choice. Like, it's your choice to be bothered with me. I don't, my life is not for you to decide if I want you to be, you know what I'm saying? So that's when I got to that, will I marry me and will I be okay with me? Because I had to. It was a struggle. I was like, I had to. So that's all I have to say right now.
But you know what, Tracy, just what you saying that about apologizing, never apologizing, not apologizing. I have a quote that I have hanging on my wall. It says, it's by Bridget Nicole. It says, never apologize for being sensitive or emotional. Let this be a sign that you've got a big heart and aren't afraid to let others see it. Showing your emotions is a sign of strength. So you're right. I have to learn not to apologize, right? For being emotional or saying no, or no, let me think about it. You know what I'm saying? And you just led right into that. I said, let me get this thing. And you had no idea what I just got up to go and get, but it just fits so well with what you just said. We don't have to apologize for being who we are. And I know that now, right? Thank you.
Yes.
One last thing that I wanted to say on this is embracing those um, imperfections, or what some people may call imperfections. I know one of the things that I used to always think that I was, a little quirky, a little weird, and I've learned to embrace that. And I've learned, since I've embraced it, other people embrace it in me. They look for that quirkiness in me. Like if I give a party, they know that it's not gonna just be, we're gonna dance and have some music. I'm gonna have an event because I'm that one. I'm a little quirky, So even my daughter teases me. Remember when people used to do loser? I came up with winner. So now they tease me about that. We have a family event. She'll be like, my mom, here she go, you know. But I've learned to embrace it, and it brings out the realness in who I am.
I love that. Yeah, your realness invites safety. Is there anything else that you all want to share before we wrap?
Just, I would like to share a affirmation by Wayne Dyer, which is, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Really think about that. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's something that I have done and will continue to do when it comes to knowing my self-worth. And is this a time where we can do the books one more time? I just wanted to share, like I say, the book, The Dream Giver. This book is by Bruce Wilkinson and also Iyanla Advanzet, Tapping the Power Within. Okay. And then The Secret or The Greatest Secrets. I think it's another great book that I would like to share. Thank you.
I got one more thing I want to share. And it's the same by Venetian's family definition. And I found this and I said it the other day, but I think it's important to say it today. Start by doing what's necessary. Do what's possible, and suddenly you'll be doing the impossible. And that's something that we start by doing what's necessary for yourself. Then you'll end up doing what's possible, and then you'll end up doing the impossible. So loving yourself, it may be a stress for some people right now, but do what's necessary to learn to love yourself. Then you'll realize that you are loving yourself the best way you know how. So that's what I got to say. And I want to thank you all for having me here to speak, to just be present in your presence. And thank you to everybody. And love you all.
You too, Tracy.
I just wanted to share that, I love jazz. I love jazz. Jazz is so soothing to me, and it brings about a level of calmness. So I also love poetry, so I have several books of poetry, and I just recently ordered 2, and the name is Her, and part 1 and part 2. And they are all self-affirmations that you can speak over your life. So that I truly believe that as far as speaking life over me, and speaking life over others, especially when you're in the profession of helping others, never take anyone for granted. So then once I learned not to take myself for granted, I learned how not to take others for granted. And it was another book that I wanted to share, but I can't think of the name of it right now. But just learning you and learning what brings that calm and that peace to you. I'm always reading morning meditations, different morning meditations. The Utmost High is one of my favorite morning meditation books, because you can read it in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, but whatever that brings that you can not just read, but also throughout the day meditate on and walk in. I'm a big believer in each step that I take, it has a step of purpose, and it might be one word that I might hold on to for that day, but each step that I take throughout that walk today will be that one word, and today's word will be worthy, and I wish I had roses that I could get each one of y'all, but I'm sending y'all roses. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of today with you all.
I'll just show y'all my rose. It's a black rose.
I can't show mine.
So here's my rose.
I was about to show it, but it's right here on my heart.
Here's my rose to all of you.
All right.
The black rose.
You.
Yes.
I would just like to say, there's a book called The God-Shaped Brain that just really helped transform my life. also restating having songs in your belly. Royalty. We are all royalty. Tasha Cobbs does a song that talks about us being royalty. And it just reminds me of who God says we are. We are royalty. And I really have embraced that. Matter of fact, I used to, in the beginning, wear a crown. Like, when people go to church and they wear hats, I would wear a crown because I really wanted to embrace the fact that I am royalty. I am a princess
Absolutely.
forever.
Absolutely.
Yes. I want to leave each of you with, I always feel blessed when I'm in these spaces, right? So I have to like readjust at the end because I'm like, all right, get fully back. These conversations are always fruitful. They are always nourishing. Every time we come together and I get to be present with you all is a gift. And so thank you for everything that you've shared. Thank you for the part of your story that is going to be balm for someone else's heart. Thank you for reminding each of us as we listen to this that negativity is not the baseline. It is not the way that we need to talk to ourselves on a daily basis, that it's actually beautiful and life-giving to bring and speak life to yourself first, because it always comes out and always shows itself. And so I am in deep gratitude for each of you and just really appreciative of everything you've shared. And for everyone else out there, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for knowing that you are part of our loved one, even if we have never met you, that your very existence is divine, that your very existence makes you worthy, that your breath is holy and sacred, and that you, just because you exist, are enough. So remember that as you go through your day. Remember that if no one else around you is telling you that if there is that one person that is telling you something different, everyone on this call is telling you how worthy, how beautiful, and how loved and brilliant you are, that your quirkiness is joy. It invites us in. Thank you all, and have a beautiful rest of your day.